The Trump administration just announced potential travel ban, which include more than 40 countries. Because of this new development, I decided to reach out with the immigration lawyer, Mr. Remzi Kulen, which we had a nice discussion regarding the visas in 2025 and some changes. And he nicely willing to sit down with me again. So first we discussed about the travel ban. What is travel ban all about? What's the difference between the red, yellow, and orange? And then we also discuss what are the things that a non-US IMG can do if they plan to travel and come to the United States, let's say for doing rotations, and actually especially for people who match. Last week we have a match week, right? Congratulations for those people who match. But yet, if you're actually coming from one of these countries that are listed, well, you apparently, unfortunately, you probably have another battle to go through. So we're gonna discuss about that as well, and then we're also gonna make a clarification and discuss about news related to H-1B people getting deported or green card holders getting deported or stopped at the immigration by the Custom Border and Protection. So we're going to talk about those as well. Before you jump into the video, I just want to let you know if you are looking for clinical rotations, I provide clinical rotations in my office. Click the link down description below if you want to learn more about it. And you're going for USMLE, there's a USMLE test taking strategies. It's an online course and it has helped a lot of people achieve high score. And it's free. There is really no risk on getting those resources. So just use the link down description below and you can get the course and enjoy it. All right, so here is Mr. Remzi Kulen. All right, so I guess we're gonna discuss about the travel ban. The main questions is, I guess, if you can enlighten us, what is this travel ban all about? There is this red, yellow, and I believe it's orange, right? And there's a difference between these. Can you probably explain a little bit about this travel ban?
Yes, actually, this ban is what we call Trump ban version 2. So the first the first ban was during his first presidency,
Right.
and at that time it was called the Muslim ban. There were predominantly Muslim countries and a few other countries where if you travel to those, if you are a national of those countries, you cannot come to the U.S. For a certain period of time. Now we don't have the ban yet, and we don't know when it's going to be published, but it looks like the number of countries have expanded. They are now talking about maybe more than 40 countries, maybe 43 countries. And there is different color codes where the red code would be travel restricted entirely, and the other color codes where travel is somewhat restricted. So we don't know if this is final yet because we don't have the announcement, but it is very close. It's very near. It can happen anytime. Um, it of course it is a lot of there's a lot of fear as to what can happen. Most likely, what's going to happen is if you are a national of the countries in the red list, you will not be able to travel to the US for a certain period of time. And then after that period of time, US will reconsider its decision. If you are in the orange list, for example, you could face some visa restrictions. And the lower tier of nations would be put on notice by the administration that they need to address the problems. So, what the red category seems to be is 11 countries: Afghanistan, Bhutan, Cuba, Iran, Libya, North Korea, Somalia, Sudan, Syria, Venezuela, and Yemen. So most of these countries were already banned in the previous time during Trump's first presidency, with the exception of visa and green card holders. But Bhutan and Cuba was not part of them, and now it seems like it's going to be a part of them. Some other countries in the orange list will have we'll see that visas are very sharply restricted, and the other countries on the third list would have 60 days to address the security concerns of the US. So this is what it is about, and we'll see how it plays out.
Yeah. So just to clarify some things, that basically you're saying this ban has not um, applied yet. I don't know what's the right word for it. It
It's
hasn't
not, it's
been.
not, this is not announced yet, and it's not out there yet. It
It's
doesn't
not
affect
active yet. It's not active yet,
not
but
active
it
yet.
can be activate. I mean, anytime. We don't know when it's gonna be activate.
That's correct. I mean, Trump keeps saying, wait for April 2nd. We don't know if April 2nd is something else or this. So we don't know.
I see. Now, can you enlighten us related to clarify? Okay, let's do the, I guess, the orange one first. I'm not really sure whether it's orange or yellow actually, but the orange one is the one that it's sharply restricted. When it say sharply restricted, does that mean like only B1, B2, or only J1 or H1, or all visas, or what does that actually mean when they say that sharply restricted? Is this lower chance of getting approval, or if you already have the visa, then you still cannot come to the country? Like, what does that actually
And
mean?
we're trying to figure out what each category means. Again, there's no announcement out there. So this is
Mm,
just, these are just assumptions. There's no official announcement, right?
got
So
it.
so the red category would be completely banned from entering the US.
So even though you have the visa
Yes.
previously, you will
Yeah.
not be able to enter the US.
Unless you're a citizen,
Okay,
um, or probably a green card holder, maybe. So we don't know yet.
I
Uh,
see.
I'm looking at different reports here,
Hmm.
and it doesn't really give any ideas because I mean there are different reports, but we don't know yet. But all we know is, of course, they cannot do anything
Okay.
about entry-exit requirements for the citizens, right? Because U.S.
Oh,
citizens are.
yes, yes, U.S.
If you're,
citizens,
if you're a
certainly.
dual citizen, you don't have a problem.
Right.
But if you are in the red category,
Yeah.
then you may have a problem entering the country. We don't know if green card holders are going to be subject to this.
Okay.
Normally, you shouldn't be
Okay.
because the US issued you a green card, but we don't know. Okay.
Okay.
The orange category would face higher scrutiny and would be subject to mandatory in person interviews in order to receive a visa.
Okay.
Eritrea, Haiti, Laos, Myanmar, South Sudan. I mean, these country lists appear somewhat different in different websites also.
I
Uh,
see.
so there's no certain list yet.
I
And the
see.
yellow category has 60 days to address the concerns from the administration.
Now, what
Or
are those concerns? We have some idea? What are those concerns that they trying to resolve?
it could be related to security in their own country.
Mm,
It could be related to more background check. It could be related to providing certain information before the passengers arrive to the United States. Um, we don't know really. It's mostly about security, probably.
got it. Okay. Now, because my audience is mainly a non-US IMG, they are international
Yeah.
medical graduates, they are healthcare professionals who plans to come to this country to do the residency mainly and practice medicine. And we have a lot of people actually coming from this country, and I think mainly the main country that is really affected is Pakistan. There's a lot of Pakistani
Mm,
doctors that plan to come to the US now. Um, Last week is actually our match week, meaning that we know that these people who has gone through interviews and do all this exam and everything, they
yeah.
know that they match, meaning they managed to enter the residency. So people are celebrating, they're very excited, but then we have these travel bans that we concern of.
Yeah.
What do you think if an international medical graduates, that coming from this, their match, but they're coming from this country, let's say Pakistan is a big one. What do you think they should do?
Um, if it's possible, try to enter the US as soon as possible to not be subject to these bans. So if you have a chance to enter as soon as possible, you can do that. If it's not possible and if you are going to enter after the ban is announced, then you just have to see how this whole thing progresses. Um, because you don't know if that ban for Pakistan, which seems to be in the yellow list, for example,
Right.
if the security concerns are going to be resolved to the satisfaction of the US authorities, or they will expand it, or they will extend it, or they will move Pakistan to a different category, which may get worse, or Pakistan may be off the list, which could be just business as usual. So
Mm,
we just have to see what goes on. But
I see.
the best advice would be, if you could come in as early as you can without the ban, then do it.
I see. Then the most common cases for these people, they have most likely a B1, B2 visa because they have doing a rotation in the US before. Probably they have a B1 and B2 visa. Now, do you think if, I mean, that means actually they can enter the US using the B1, B2 visa. But when they start a residency, this is what we usually do, and this is what I did. We need to switch to a J1 or H1B.
Yeah.
Now, do you actually? I mean, I know it's hard to say, but is that because you said that it's better for us for them to actually come early? You think they can actually come in B1 B2 visa and switch to a J1 or H1B inside the United States?
Okay. So it is possible to switch from B2 to J1 and H1 within the US, as long as you maintain your status in your non-immigrant visa category, and the new visa application is filed when you are maintaining your status, and the new visa start date is within your status. Meaning, let's say
Right.
you entered the US on April the 3rd.
Yeah.
They gave you 180 days to stay, which took you to October 3rd. And
Yeah.
let's say your H1B start date is October 1st. So if you can file the H1B within the US and request a change of status, this will work because your I-94 expires after your visa start date, work visa start date. It kind of covers that period. So you don't have a problem. With J1, it's a little different
Okay.
because as long as the B2 to J1 is pending, you can remain in the United States, and once the J1 is approved, you can start working for the J1 employer. Although the J1 sponsors, employers is not the right word, but J1 sponsors usually prefer people going out of US, getting the visa stamped in their passport, and coming back. They
Right.
don't change your status a lot, but
Yeah.
having said that, it's doable. So yeah, it could be done.
It could be done. So it's
Yes.
actually, lower risk to actually going to B1, B2 now before the ban actually happened. Because do you think if the ban actually happened, let's say, oh, okay, I'm going to travel April 3rd, then April 1st, that order is being executed. Oh, no, then you have to do everything in Pakistan, let's say. And then do you think J1 will be affected as well then?
I
Because
think so.
J1, yeah, you think so.
Because the travel ban means even if you have the proper visa to enter the United States, you still cannot enter the United States. So
Right,
that's actually what it means.
right,
Is not for someone who doesn't have the visa, they cannot come anyway. The ban means you have the visa, you cannot come to the United States. So I think people are going to be affected by that.
mm,
The fact that it's a wider network of countries this year, this is going to have more effects. I mean, we're expecting more lawsuits and a lot of legal challenges, and probably a swift decision on whether this order should be stopped. So it may not be all that it seems. It
I see.
it may be a big bubble that is not going to be able to
Mm,
um, see the light. But last time it gave a lot of people a lot of trouble. So we have
mm,
to be careful. Right now, we are advising, especially the nationals of these countries, not to travel, right? And
yeah.
then at the same time, you're hearing news about green card holders Um,
That's actually my next questions,
yes,
because
maybe let's
I guess there is a personal thing as well. I mean, I have a green card. I actually plan to go to Canada
yeah,
this summer, and then
yeah,
with my in-laws, and we are actually kind of scared. My wife, especially, because the algorithm. You read one news, they'll give you another news that's actually the same. So,
yeah,
so it becomes a feedback loop, and then we're concerned if I mean, I have green card. My kids are U.S. citizen. Am I gonna be in
right.
trouble when I went to go to Canada and then come back? What about all these news, deportations, green
Yeah.
cards? Yeah,
I think we need to be very careful in talking what we hear and reporting what actually is happening, because there may be instances where the law is applied wrong, or it was not correctly applied. For example, in the case of a U.S. citizen being apprehended, being arrested at a ICE stop, is obviously a mistake, and it happened. It doesn't mean, though, that it will happen to everybody. So mistakes happen all the time, and there's no way a U.S. citizen will be arrested by an immigration officer, because they're not subject to
to the law.
immigration
Yeah,
laws. Exactly. So when I hear the news about green card holders should not travel, they cannot
yeah,
enter the U.S.,
yeah.
I always try to approach that with a um, piece, with a caution, because we know that green card holders can travel. But if you are from one of these countries and if you're traveling on a green card, we don't know what's going to happen. If you are a green card holder, and aside from the travel ban, you are spending a lot of time out of US, and you are already under the danger of losing your green card, this administration may be a little more tough with you. So I'm not sure if it's okay to say none of the green card holders should travel, okay? Because we know people travel all the time and nothing happens. But it is okay to say if you're not obeying the rules of the green card, for example, spending time in the US, spending less time outside of the US, if you're not following this rule, for example, maybe you should be worried, because this administration will interpret the rules more narrowly. But if you are a green card holder, you don't have any problems, you're living in the US, why should you worry about going out and coming back? Because the laws in that sense didn't change at all.
Now, the thing that's make my wife worried because some of the stories are saying like somebody who has a green card holder, and then they was like stop and then get to whatever with IC because he violates something. There is some, I don't know if it's actually a felony or something, but it's related to cannabis, which
Right.
happened like 20 something years ago.
Well,
So we just don't know what this administration is going to chase you with. That's what we're
yes,
worried about.
that's true. But at the same time, there's some distinctions. For example, if you get caught with marijuana and that was a federal defense, it's not a state defense, but it's a federal defense. It's still against the immigration laws. For example, New York and New Jersey may say marijuana is legal now, there's no problem. But if you get caught and this goes into your federal records, then it's still a federal crime. So what is not a crime in the state is a crime in the federal scenario.
Right.
So it is way different than having a traffic ticket while violating a lane, though, right?
Right.
So it's very minimal. It's doesn't mean anything. It doesn't mean that you can have a green card. It doesn't mean that you're not going to be admitted in the United States. So there is this section between a crime, a traffic ticket, so that's when they tell you that the green card holder is apprehended at the airport and they were deported, there's always a backstory that people don't know or people don't tell.
That's what I thought. Yeah, I
Exactly.
think the
So, for
media
example,
is exaggerating a little bit, getting rid of some of the informations behind it. Actually, they have some political, maybe big political ideas, agenda, or some sort that they don't actually tell.
or maybe they don't know what it is. For example, I'll give you an
Yes.
example. There was a New Jersey man and woman who were operating a restaurant, and they were arrested by ICE. They've been in the US for 20 years or something.
Yeah.
So they went to jail, and then there was an outcry as to why ICE took these people. Then ICE had to make an announcement, to make an explanation about the whole thing, and they said, they arrived to the US in a legal visa, but then they overstayed their visa, and they applied for something, and it got denied, and they have deportation orders against them. So basically, these four people had deportation orders against them, but they never left the US. And now ICE is coming to enforce those deportation orders, and there's an outcry. What I'm trying to tell you is it looked at the beginning that there was nothing wrong, and ICE just came and took these people. But then
Yes.
it turned out there was a deportation order for them, which they cannot even, file a motion anymore.
Right.
It needs to
Right.
be executed.
Right.
So
Right.
we have to be careful with the news.
Right, right. I completely agree with you.
Yeah.
Now, is there any changes in the H-1B premium processing for this year? I guess I remember I actually become a resident and matched during that first year Trump became president. And then at that year, there was just no H-1B. The H-1B premium processing is gone. And then our program just doesn't want to take risks of the residents cannot start on
Right.
time. So it's only J1 now. Do you hear anything about the H-1B premium processings being changed?
Today is March
24th.
24th. Yeah, so today is the last day for the H1B registration. We actually just completed the registrations for this week, for this season, just recently. It was a
Mm-hmm.
great season for us. There was a lot of H1B applications that we had to register.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it's a lot different than last year.
Okay.
The H1B registrations. There is nothing major that changed during this registration period. There was a few changes last year. For example, they now want the passport copy of the applicant. You cannot register the same person for more than one company. So it's more about the integrity of the program, making sure that everybody's only counted once in the H1B application registration system. And not much has changed. And this time around, I expect that the Trump administration is not going to um, mess with, so to speak, the H1B visa applications, because now he has, I think, some sound business people around him who use H1B all the time.
Mm. Yeah.
So if those people were able to advise the president that H1B is really an important visa application in the United States, we will probably have a safer trip, and probably have no issues with H1B. I'm hoping,
Mm.
because the last time around it was a nightmare.
Mm.
Everything they tried to change everything with an executive order,
Mm.
and it didn't fit well. I mean, whatever they denied or tried to change came back to normal a few years later, but people suffered in between.
Yeah.
So hopefully, it will remain the same
Okay.
as it did for the last, I
Okay.
don't know, many years.
Okay. Was there any notable changes that you think that, or especially the one that probably gonna affect the healthcare professionals, but really anything, but yeah.
um, Not that I can think of. I mean,
Okay.
there there's so many developments,
Mm-hmm.
so much that the American Immigration Lawyers Association now have a page where they list what's happening today and what happened in the last 2 months. So it's
Mm.
constantly changing. For international medical graduates, I don't think I've seen anything recently
Okay.
that changed my mind. Specifically for them. For
I see.
everybody else, there's a lot of other stuff going on,
I
and we
see.
try to let them know by putting them on our social media.
Very good. Great conversation today. I think it's very,
Also,
very helpful for the IMGs. Yep.
I just want to put a plug in here that I also have a YouTube channel, and you're doing great things. Our channel has to do with immigration law, recent developments, and also evergreen contents where we talk about how to get an EB1, how to get an NIW, how to get an H1B visa,
Yes.
one, etc. So if people would like to subscribe
Right.
and view the videos. That would be great. We just launched the English version a month ago, but we're gonna have a lot of videos there soon. Yes.
Perfect. Yes, yes. I highly recommend to subscribe. I already subscribed. I already got a lot of information. I already got a lot of advantage from your content.
Thank you.
And also on top of that, a lot of these hospitals actually does not have a dedicated lawyer, and then a lot of these IMGs actually needs to find a third party looking their own
Yeah,
lawyer. So I think if any of the IMGs that just matched last week, okay, from this video is making, and you guys are actually looking for lawyer, I would highly recommend go to Remzi Kulen. Okay, so
thank
I
you,
will
Julius.
put all the informations here
You are great.
down below. Okay.
All
All
right,
right
thanks
then.
a lot.
Very good. Thank you so
Have
much.
a
Have a
good
good rest of your
have
day.
a good
Thank
day. Take
you.
care. Bye.